All right, guys, welcome back here. So, we're going to talk a bit about the multiplayer first person template that Unity released late last year on with the release of Unity 6.3. And this is a replacement for the competitive action template that got released, I guess, about a year ago now. That is a netcode for entities template for a first person shooter, which has all of the client prediction rollback that you expect from a competitive shooter. So, what makes this one a bit different from the ones before is that this template has a game object bridge here for the graphics. So all of your prefabs, the players, the guns, the bullets, everything is going to have a game object tied to the entities that everything is running in the background here. So we'll show a bit about how to get this installed, and you just do this from the hub. When you make a new project, you will see new project and your samples and templates here. Before, you would have seen a competitive action template here, but now you should see these two new ones is the multiplayer FPS, and there's a multiplayer third person gameplay. We went over the third person gameplay template in a previous video, so check that out if you want to see netcode for game objects third person template there. So here we're just going to look at a little bit of the documentation. You have a number of scenes that are going to be loaded additively throughout the life cycle of the game. Our prefabs, and here's the meat of the project. And you will see ghost game object, and there's also ghost mono behaviors that have been created for this. This is different from the ECS for all initiative that is going to create an entity for all game objects. This is a different thing. So, um, but it is similar that every game object will have an entity tied to it. And then the entities are what's talking to each other from the client and server, which will then be replicated back to the ghosts. We're not going to go too deep into the code this time around, but we'll dive deeper into the workings of this template in future videos here. All right, so we can look at a little bit of the project structure, but I just want to show the actual game running here. And right now I'm using the play mode tools to spin up some thin clients, and actually we'll drop this down. Technically you can go up to however many you want. It'll give you some warnings here if you have too many thin clients. I think like 15 is about the highest they recommend, but we'll just do 4 or 5. The play mode tools is where you can also do your network simulation here. So here when we play, our UI here is done with UI Toolkit. You have two characters, so this is more of like a hero shooter rather than old school boomer shooter where you're picking up weapons. These weapons are tied to the specific character. You also have a connection mode here, so you can use the relay or direct connection. The relay here is done through sessions. So if you remember our building blocks from earlier, this is using sessions in a similar way. It's not using the building blocks directly, but this is how you can use the relay system. We're going to be using direct connect right now because the thin clients cannot actually connect through the relay. So they connect through a direct connection to the local host. So here it's going to start. We get our port. And we load up here. This is using the rifle. There's also the shotgun. We should have 5 thin clients around here somewhere. Maybe. There's one. Okay. So we have in the top corner there, we have our kill counts and our combat messages. There we go. If we hit tab, we can see our leaderboard or scoreboard. It's not using the Unity game servers leaderboards, just what's in the current match here. We've got jump and R to reload. Okay. So we'll take a real quick peek at some of the objects here. We have our weapons as scriptable objects. So if you wanted to make new weapons, you could pretty easily just duplicate either the assault rifle or the shotgun. You have the different types, hit scan and projectiles. If you wanted to make a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher, you could do so. We have our firing mechanics, hit scan, all that good stuff. We have a projectile, the prefab it will use, weapon effects, all that good stuff. All right. Prefabs here. We have our leaderboard. I just want to take a quick look at this is the Ghost Manager. So every ghost will have the ghost game object mono behavior here. And here we have the ghost game object, the update group, which those will be either managers or players or default or invalid. I think invalid is actually used for anything. So here we're using a regular game controller here. I think this first person controller is from the Dots character controller. Nope. I am wrong. This is a custom first person controller here. We have our player ghost mono behavior, which is this is a ghost mono behavior, and it has 2 interfaces for update client and update server. We won't go too into this here, but these will be systems that are updating on the dot side. We'll go deeper into this code and how it all works later in a future video here. So yeah, here in our Ghost Bridge folder here, we have the Bootstrap, which is the netcode for entities bootstrapper that will create the client and server worlds when you start the network. This also has support for a dedicated server as well as client hosting. And the ghost behaviors can also send RPCs as well. I don't think I have an example offhand, but you are able to send RPCs through netcode for game objects, mono behaviors, to the netcode for entities systems. And I don't have one offhand, but you can check the example here on here. So here in the ghost mono behavior, you can create your IRPC command struct, and then you can call it through this broadcast RPC or send direct RPC. And then on the receiving side, you would need to call the consume RPC. So if you're the server sending to the client would need to consume the RPC, and vice versa for the server. The dedicated server, there is a bootstrap specifically for your dedicated server, which I think is in networking server, dedicated server. So whether you're using multiplay, there's a separate bootstrapper for it, or just a regular dedicated server elsewhere. This will just create your server world and get everything set up for a connection. So yeah, that's very, very quick rundown on the new first person multiplayer sample here. And in the next few weeks after Global Game Jam, we'll go deeper into both of these templates and break them down and how they all work. So yeah, we'll be hosting a Global Game Jam here locally in Memphis on the 30th at the University of Memphis. So hit us up on Meetup. We've got a event scheduled, and we'll be kicking that off on 6 p.m. on the 30th. So yeah, we'll see you guys there, and see you next time.